ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, the Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so we are here for the finale of X-Manhunt. It feels like it's taken forever, but maybe it's only because I've been terminally dialed into it. But regardless of the case, this time around, we have what I feel are two of the best X-writers at the moment. I'm just speaking from a point of having read pretty much everything that's running currently, or to some extent most of everything that is running currently, and these are two of my favorites, and that's Marewa Ayodele and Gail Simone. And the thing I predicted was going to happen, I felt that the overall narrative of X-Manhunt was sound. I thought that the idea behind what X-Manhunt is supposed to be was sound, but I feel like there are certain pieces that just weren't really in place in the right areas. Like, it felt a little rudderless in spots. And I had a feeling that when we got to this Omega issue, I was like, oh yeah, this is probably going to be where it's all going to come together. Like, it's all going to work out like here, because there's a more cohesive storytelling happening here. And that's what it is. It's good. It's solid. It gets us back on track to the narrative, which I will say, I'm going to right now, and I want to save this for towards later in the video. If you're wondering if we're going to get any resolution to what's going on with the Shi'ar Empire, let's just go ahead and say it right now.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, mate.
I'll share my thoughts on that, towards the end of the video when we talk about, we get like the final thoughts segment. I've been trying to like put chapters in these, so if you want to hear that, just go to that. This was a really big issue. And we're talking like a 30 some odd pages worth of comic here that we're talking about. And none of it is wasted. None of it's wasted. For the most part, we have Cyclops' X-Men and Rogue's Uncanny X-Men. They're still not on the same page by the time we start this whole thing off. Cyclops is trying to get Rogue to see his side of things. As I've stated before, even when we were talking about Raid on Greymalkin, Rogue and Cyclops, neither one of them is particularly wrong. Like, I would say this, with the benefit of having read what was the one-shot issue, X-Men Xavier's Secret. And I'll go and start right now. I'll try and remember to put a link to it like up here somewhere in the video, but that one shot kind of did a lot of heavy lifting for Charles Xavier to try and rehabilitate his image, something that does come up a little later in the issue. So some of the things that Cyclops is wanting to hold Charles Xavier's feet to the fire for kind of invalidates his argument. And I don't even know how I really feel about that, because honestly, it's information that only Xavier has. None of the other characters have it. So basically everyone else is right, but they don't know why they're right. They don't know why they're right. Like Storm, Rogue, none of them know why Charles Xavier should not be held accountable for the things that happened during the fall of X. Cyclops knows what he should be held accountable for, but as it turns out, the things that he knows he should be held accountable for, the unaliving of multiple humans and the destruction of the Agnew. The Agnew was destroyed, but there were no humans on it. All of that did not actually occur the way Cyclops knows it. So it's one of those weird instances where everybody's kind of right, Cyclops is kind of wrong. Like, it's like the one instance where Cyclops is not right. Once again, it's all convoluted. It also begs that you've read X-Men Xavier's Secret, which I don't know how many people have or have not, but I'll definitely say that book is, man, it's some bullshit. Like, it is some, hey, we're trying to rehabilitate Charles Xavier's image levels of bullshit. And then we get to, the whole thing with the rest of the X teams that aren't really that big of a deal in this. Like, the Exceptional X-Men, not much of a presence in this book until the very end. X-Factor, not really a factor. I'll own that pun there. They're basically just there because they want to take down Xavier too, but for completely different reasons and for the government. And then you've also got, X-Force. They're still busy dealing with their own stuff, but Sage and John Wraith are hanging around still from the X-Manhunt tie-in part of the previous X-Force number 9. And I will say this, if there's any one thing that I thought this book really did a good job of in terms of dealing with extra characters, I felt that the handling of John Wraith was really cool to see. John Wraith gets a huge glow up in this issue. And I'm going to say right now, as far as teleporters go, John Wraith has always been I would say probably one of the more interesting ones, but he is also technically the one that doesn't get used very often. Like, he was probably more of a staple like decades ago, but has not really been utilized particularly well since. And here, Gale and Marewa are like actually letting him cut loose. There's a point where we get to see him teleport a mech and use that teleportation of the mech to deliver an RKO from out of nowhere on a demon kaiju. Like, it was pretty awesome. So I will say this, let's go ahead and shut this down right now. We are not on Omega level mutant watch, so let's shut that down. John Wraith still has limits to his powers. He actually literally talks about the limitation of his power in the X-Force issue, that he still has a range that he can go to. So he's not an Omega level mutant. He is just really close to being tournament banned. That's really what that is. What else is going on here? The end result, it all comes down to Cyclops versus Charles Xavier, but not in a physical fight, but in a battle of ideologies. And it's kind of where we go back to what I was talking about earlier about the information Cyclops does not have that Xavier gives him in this issue. But the thing is, Cyclops is made to be so irrational when he hears this information. Like, he is so against Charles in this that he's not really listening to what Xavier has to say, which, I'm not gonna lie, feels kind of un-Cyclops. I'm not gonna hold you on that one. I feel some type of way about this particular aspect of it, but I'm willing to give it the grace just because at this particular point, Cyclops has just been through a lot. Like, he's literally had his eyes frozen in his sockets. So I'm willing to, forgive some of the things that he's not listening to. But even in all that, Xavier, ultimately, he's going to get away. And the reason why Xavier, and what this all is a setup for, is for Xavier to ride off into the sunset. His brain tumor that is a result of him being an avian is pretty much wiped off the table. Lilandra basically slick cures him of it, more or less. That said, I do feel like the whole thing with the brain bleed, the psychic brain bleed that was supposedly causing people pain, that's one of those things that was kind of more of a tell, not a show. They never really made that a thing, and that's kind of another issue with this issue, is that it's kind of almost forgotten about. But at the same time, yeah, whether or not Charles is permanently cured or if this is a temporary cure, we'll have to wait and see. Because once again, Charles Xavier, he's going to ride off into the sunset this issue. Cyclops is basically going to lose his damn mind because he was so obsessed with taking down Charles Xavier to try to protect mutant kind from humanity. Because that's something else I feel kind of gets lost in the shuffle, is that in the wake of the Krakoan era, Cyclops has largely been trying to protect mutant kind from being perceived as threats. It was the whole reason why he didn't want to take a large team into Greymalkin. He didn't want Rogue going into Greymalkin because a larger mutant force would look like an act of war. He wanted something small, something stealth, something that could go in and out and be done and no one really know exactly what happened. And I feel like that overall narrative has largely been lost in the X series as a whole, across multiple titles up to this point. Cyclops has been going through a lot, and something that's actually a callback to one of the earlier issues of Jed MacKay's X-Men. And I want to say this was issue number 3, where Cyclops is having a sit down with Agent Lundquist of the ONE, and he is talking big, bad, and greasy. And he basically lays his on the table and was like, this is how it's gonna be. But then we see once that conversation is done, Cyclops goes to the bathroom and starts having a panic attack. And it's because the pressure of everything he's having to do is building up in him. And it kind of comes to a culmination in this issue where he lets off a huge optic blast that is hurting everyone around him. And I don't know if this is Gail Simone like fucking with X fans, because it's something that some of you may or may not know this, but I don't want to say too terribly long ago, but not necessarily too terribly recent either. Gale used to troll people about Cyclops and his power and how, does it emit heat or not? It's something that's kind of getting played with here, that his optic blast is, burning so hot that it's melting the skin off of even Wolverine. They do a lot of like Dark Phoenix callbacks in this issue, largely with Storm talking about being the host of Eternity and how that is kind of muddying the water for her. And also at the same time, showcasing the fallout of the Dark Phoenix saga, but also kind of giving us an homage to the event where Wolverine had to step in and, you know, put them claws on Jean Grey. Like there's a lot of Dark Phoenix and Phoenix related shenanigans that are, you know, kind of drugged back in to this issue. And Cyclops, because of the power he's letting off, he has to be stabbed in order to calm him down. He's not killed, but in the midst of all this, once Cyclops has gotten to calm down, that's when Xavier comes into base. Is like, hey, look, I'm leaving. I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. Kind of doing the thing that Xavier used to do when he would like fake his death so he could get away from the X-Men for a little bit, so he could go clap some alien cheeks, some alien bird cheeks. You know what I'm talking about? That is kind of what's happening here, but he's being more honest about what it is he's going to go do, but also recognizing, and this is something I think maybe even Tom Brevoort recognized, and maybe why that X-Men Xavier secret issue was done, is because he is trying to rehabilitate Charles Xavier's image. I've literally seen where people in the X office have talked about, yeah, Charles has enslaved alien artificial intelligences. He's a terrible father. You had child soldiers. The guy's dream has literally just like he is no longer the guy that you think he is. And that whole brain bleed and the avian, you know, brain tumor, all that stuff. All of that I kind of feel was a way to wipe the sins of what Xavier has done. I won't say for the last 20 years, but at least for the last like 5 or 10 years, sweep that shit under the rug and let him walk away with a clean slate. And also uplift Cyclops to be the face of mutant leadership, which I think is, you know, a nice passing of the torch. I just wish that we didn't have to do the convoluted Xavier secret BS in order to get there. I'm open, you know, to letting this play out to see where it goes. I feel like at the end of the day, X-Manhunt was just a big advertisement for Jonathan Hickman's Imperial, because that's basically what we get at the end of this issue. It's like, oh, hey, you want to know what happens to Charles Xavier next? Go read Imperial. I'm just like, okay, dude. Okay. All right. I guess, like, I'm not gonna lie. I have no interest in Imperial, like, whatsoever. After reading Gods, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, we talked about this with the Blerd very recently. I think just this past week, I talked about how there are certain writers who, like, they've written enough good stuff. I'm willing to give them X amount of bad books before I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm out. And I've talked about, like, there's some writers who are so epic, I'm gonna give them like 5 books. Some I give like 1, some I give 2, 3, 4, but writers who are particularly good, I'm gonna give them 5 books. And honestly, Gods, I think, was Hickman's 4th bad book for me. There was Gods, there was Decorum, there's Aliens versus Avengers. But yeah, like, Jonathan Hickman used to be like the dude, and I'm like, now I'm kind of like, I don't know anymore.
Damn. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Maybe Imperial will be the 5th. I don't know, but we'll see. I actually want to jump in real quick because there were some thoughts that I had about this issue that I didn't quite convey in the video. And honestly, all those thoughts kind of flowed out of myself very freely, and I think more articulately once I had more time to kind of sit and think on it. And we actually talked about this kind of unintentionally. It came up on this past weekend's episode of the Blerd Cave, which, by the way, if you don't know, I do a live stream every Saturday pretty much at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and we talk about what's going on in comics, comic book related media. I think this past week we ended up talking a little bit more about the new Marvel Cosmic Invasion video game, but a good chunk of the opening of the episode, we ended up kind of unintentionally talking about X-Manhunt. And in all that, this is what we had to say. It's not even just that. It's them trying to rehabilitate Charles Xavier.
You got motherfuckers crying.
You got Emma Frost acting out of character as a motherfucker crying for Charles. Not Charles. Charles.
Well, I wanted to bring it up, and it fucking irked me. Charles leaves. Cyclops freaks the fuck out. He does Berserker Barrage of the Eyes. Wolverine, in true X3, save me. I love you, Shank. Just like Logan did to Jean in X3 Last Stand. He stabbed the shit out of Cyclops, right? You fast forward. Everybody crying. Mystique crying for some reason that Xavier leaving.
Right? I was like, what the fuck is
every motherfucker, every mutant on the planet is just crying for some goddamn reason. Cyclops and Wolverine are together. Wolverine pat him on the back. Sorry I had to poke you. You know, sorry I had to get you. Cyclops then goes, hopefully I can pay back the favor someday, but you didn't go too deep. But if you go to that page, he clearly stabbed clean through that nigga.
Oh no, he stabbed the fuck out of dude. Look, okay, I just
through.
wanna.
You didn't go too deep. Nigga, he was on the other side.
Dude, wait. Look at that shit. Look at that shit.
Look at
Hold on. Look, enhance. Wait. There, look at where the claw is.
That
here
part irked
to
me.
here.
Cause like my eyes was not playing tricks on me. What you mean he didn't go too deep? Look where it's at.
That motherfucker should be
What
dead.
you talking about?
Also, look, can I just point out something? You was talking about folks crying. It wasn't even Mystique being the one crying that got me. It was Thunderbird. I was like, what the fuck? Dude,
It was
no.
my question. Why is he even there? Did he cry? What?
Why he got the one Native American tear? Like what he cried like somebody threw some trash on the ground. What is this? Oh yeah, and someone just pointed out he got the old new he got his old new fit on. He ain't even wearing that shit no more. Stop it. They need to stop it. This is too much. What the fuck are Bronze and Melee crying for? They don't even know.
They don't know this nigga.
They don't even know this dude. What? What is this?
As far as they are concerned, that's just the white man to be on TV sometimes talking about music. They don't know this man.
This is the only realistic expression on this motherfucker.
Becca Romaine just took the time to cry real quick. You know why she'll probably cry? She probably sick of standing up because y'all made her wait 5 goddamn hours to put her chair in the middle of an empty ass goddamn room. That's what that was. What are we talking about, bro?
Wait a minute.
Current X, y'all can keep it. Y'all can keep it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of over it. What is this? What is this?
Everything that man did in Krakoa that you one of the reasons shit went left and booted him and Magneto and them the fuck up out of there. Crying.
Look, wait. Look, let me zoom it out a little taste. Go be happy. You ain't earned shit.
Then what was the point of you going in on him in Krakoa? Blame all of Charles' evil behavior that we've been witness to on the tumor. What? Stop. No. He was mid-surgery with that damn tumor and still talking to everybody on planet Earth. Y'all saw Prodigy face.
Okay, so now that I've put all that out there and you've seen that, who knows, maybe you'll be more inspired to come back and check out the Blerd Cave. Maybe you'll show up this week. I think we're actually getting really close to our 300th episode, which I still haven't figured out what the hell we're doing for it. I should probably figure that out. But yeah, go check it out. Anyway, back to the video. At the end of it all, though, yeah, I thought that this was a nice little ending. I feel like it was a cohesive ending, not so much a great ending. I think that Moreira and Gale did the best they could with what they had. I feel like this should have been a story arc that Gale and Moreira wrote together all the way through. I don't think we should have been doing these, hey, let's jump between all these different, like you can do that like as tie-ins, but I feel like there should have been a core X-Manhunt issue that Gale and Moreira wrote together, because I feel like they wrote a really good issue of X-Manhunt in this, and it just makes me mad that they didn't write any more, because maybe we would have gotten that more coherent story. But yeah, at the end of the day, X-Manhunt is literally just an advertisement for Imperial. No more, no less. Is it something that I didn't enjoy? I enjoyed this issue. I don't think I enjoyed the crossover overall. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not enjoy this crossover as a whole. I enjoyed its parts. I think that Uncanny X-Men, Adjectiveless X-Men, Storm, I actually think those were the better issues that came out of this that actually addressed some of the things that were going on. And I feel like NYX had promise, but like just kind of did some other shit with that. I don't know. Like it kind of felt like NYX was important, but also not important at the same time. And the rest of the books just kind of did what they did. But yeah, I like the move call outs. That I think that was more of a Moreira thing. Like that actually happens a lot this issue. Storm and various other characters all have like move call outs. I thought that was cool. I also appreciated that Temper got some respect put on her name this issue, even though she missed her shot. But yeah, like I said, this was a great ending to what I feel was an okay story. I don't know, outside of Imperial, I don't know if anybody's gonna be like talking about this storyline years from now. I don't think so.